just the issue on the traveling of students because of where they live, and also the fact that there's only, as I said, 600 beds available for first years. I'm just sitting here thinking, I like the approach that these are challenges and not problems. But then I ask, do we have a spatial planning department and a logistics department or program that deals with this through research, in engaging with the students to find solutions to their own problems? Thereby, there are partners in this, and this, I think that would help a lot. And look in terms of delivering content to the students because of the challenges that they have. As you said, utilizing technology, artificial intelligence, these are things we critically need to look at to see where we can bring the back.
A note for institutional planning, they've got the institutional researcher now. Maybe some of these issues need to be prioritized as high priority for the institutional researcher to also look at.
Yeah, and if I may just respond to our colleague from the industry, I think the problem is not so much that we must get to the technology, but the problem is, and the question that we should ask is, how many of our students, once they leave here, have access in order to use the technology? They don't. Many of our students are still living in squatter camps. They're living in one rooms, they're living where there's nothing. And that's what I wrote down here. Some lecturers want students to type an assignment. And they must submit a typed assignment. And I'm fighting with them. Because if you don't have electricity at home, when you go home, and you can't stay on campus because you need to get the train, because after 6 it's dangerous. So these are the things that we must, and that's again I'm saying, we need to enable our students, essentialist information, useless, we have beautiful things, and to want to go multimodal on all the different things, but we don't enable our students. We need to look and see what the students going home to, where students coming from, in order to see how we can. Because if you look at the research, and maybe our researchers can tell us, maybe 30% to 40% of students can afford it, but the majority can still not. So that's where we need to start.
I just want to just reflect back, particularly the access and admission of students into any university. You know, the national examination, which is our benchmark, is set for an average grade 12 learner. And an average grade 12 learner is defined as follows. Is a student who's sitting in a classroom, who has a teacher who has necessary competence to teach the subject. He's sitting in a classroom that has all the facilities. He's coming from a home that is not ridden with blah, 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 blah. So in other words, everything is okay at home and you can come back in an environment more. So we have the students writing these examinations at the end of grade 12 without really having a teacher in the classroom. And this is a situation in majority of the schools, particularly in the disadvantaged communities. And now we're saying that we're taking these students into universities that must have these particular symbols. That's fine. But what I'm saying to you is we need to consider the students who have real potential, but not necessarily have earned those marks at grade 12 level, and see what investment we as university can make into the first year of that student, and to reconcile those gaps and close the gap so that we can give those students the advantage to move on with further education at university. Unless we do that, we will not, and I don't think we'll ever be able to be in a position to say we can get this the kinds of students that we want at university. We'll never, schooling will never get it right in the next 100 years, the way schooling is at the moment.
Because I'm not sure about this. At UWC, do we have,
when the students don't make the minimum requirements, do we have an additional assessment test? Because at NMU it worked very successfully, even for me as a dean, to have 2 levels of discretion. When the student didn't make the direct entry point, we had a band, because we've done cohort studies that said, you know, up to this level of the APS, then, these are the kind of things, and we look back because we had all that data, but that was a smaller faculty, and probably one of the law faculty was probably one of that had the best data. But what we then did, and I did it with the assessment center, was to then develop over years a profile of the student that we would like to run in. And so we didn't just look at the APS. The APS was one element, and then it was in a form of a bell curve. And then we also looked at reading and comprehension. And because for law also, there's a level, not necessarily maths, but a level of arithmetic and those kind of numeracy that we tested for. And why we did it was for both admissions and to develop, to indicate once a student has been admitted, you're slightly off the curve on the reading or the literacy part. We then built into our first year curriculum that depending on how you fare there, you might have 1 or 2 extra tutorials. So we actually had a good profile of the students, but then we looked at it came over years, and it can be done. We did the same for numeracy for law. So in the first year for numeracy for law, we already at the beginning would identify. Look, we were slightly worried because I would get those problematic cases, and I took a chance on many students. I looked at it and I thought, just a little bit of the bell curve, including a student that was a convicted felon, but that's another story. He needed a second chance in life, and I took a chance when I looked at his profile and also what they write, why they want to come and study and all that kind of stuff. So I think there are certain things that maybe, I'm not saying any of you got it right or any of you got it right, but my experience as a dean was that recruitment was my business. It was part of my KPIs. I took it seriously, and marketing I took very seriously. And I personally trained the student ambassadors. When I went to the township, I didn't do the presentation, my students did the presentation. So it doesn't have to cost a lot. It's just thinking differently about how you do the recruitments. And the message that you get from a student ambassador, and I met student ambassadors across the years, from a student ambassador is a different message that you're going to get from a centralized, because that student ambassador has done the work and knows about the pitfalls and those kind of things, and they speak in a different way to prospective students. So I like the fact that we then look at it, like Ian has done now, thinking through an advanced program for physics, but for schools, before they get into the physics curriculum. Advanced program, which includes then where some of our students are not strong, the mathematical component as well as the computational component, because that will become important when they come into physics, for example. And that's just one example, but I think we need to be a bit more creative and also not to see the challenges of things that we can't like that we can't solve. So the reference group must please come up with a thinking cap of what can we do. I think we are aware of the challenges, and the document will speak to the challenges, and where we will need the reference group to assist us would be what are those kind of actions that we can take in order to systematically overcome. And then also, Vanessa, to spell out the responsibilities of certain, whether it's from the academic side or whether it is, so that everybody understands that student success is not a nice to have, that if you're in a teaching and learning directorate, that student success is your business. Whether you're in the faculty, if you're in academic support staff, it's your business. Because that's why we're here, what's the point then? So, and I think that needs to be quite strong in the document, that it's a collective responsibility and it's everyone's business. And I think even if you have to put it like that in every one of your presentations, say it's not other people's problem, it's all our problem. That we need to collectively put our heads together and solve the problem. And that's why I'm in favor of a phased approach. Because some of the things, once you've got the action plan, some of the things can be low-hanging fruit that we can do immediately, short-term goals. Some of the things will require, and it helps us from a planning perspective to say, where are we putting our resources into? When we do the budgeting, if this is so important for us, then we know some other things might have to give. And I know that in the next enrollment plan, it appears that postgraduate growth will be the path, but it will still leave us with at least 75%, and I don't think UWC will ever get to the point where our undergraduate programs would be a nice to have. For our university and the students that we serve, that is not a nice to have. That should still remain the core, irrespective of research intensive notion for postgraduate growth. I think we need to think about it, but also speak about it now.
And if I just may add, maybe people should also be part of this. I think it's the library, maybe they are.
Yeah.
Because some of the library, really throughout the library, people, the librarians, people assisting, they sometimes treat students very badly. The same with financial aid. They really need to come to a party that they should not treat the students so badly. But the last thing I wanted to say, talk about the fact, because this is absolutely right. We can't, we need to compete differently now. It's not that students will come to us. But what other universities are doing, and we should start, and maybe Samuel can help us, is to also identify feeder schools and start programs there. Because in that way you already make sure that because you're involved and you gather and you help, you offer winter schools and stuff, help with mathematics or whatever, in that way you start a relationship, and because that's what they have overseas. They have their feeding schools, they have a certain, that they know the students are coming. You help, you invest, and then you get the students. So that is a very good way forward in making sure that we get our students and our relationship. And then just the last two things, what I think we all should have.
Did you write all that down, Tanisha? I'm
Yes,
very
I
worried
wrote
that
down,
you made very good
It
inputs.
doesn't have to cost money. The one thing Vanessa talked about, somebody, or do we actually track our students? And again, I feel about the report, because that's one thing Missouri is doing well. They have dedicated student faculty advisors. The students start with the person, and the student end with the person. The person tracked, and the person is actually the student, a mentor and everything, and the person signs off the student's final promotion and stuff. So we really need to think differently, because in the faculties, everyone is giving advice, and sometimes the wrong advice.
As well.
That's one thing that we can change, so I think that would be a very good, again, without having to cost money and stuff.
Okay, I think we've got very valuable inputs. So I'll try and arrange for, if you can think how you're going to get your reference group together, I'll try and arrange that. I think this is an important topic for Senate. And the conscientizing will have to happen in Senate. Why I'm thinking also framework is because it would be easier for Senate to deal with framework and guidelines than when things are a one size fits all, or and it's easier to amend it also in time instead of having a policy on it, especially and then of course you would have a transformational approach also to this. It's linked to our bigger transformation project. I think it's important that we just add the transformational. Because I was thinking recently, I did a presentation about the interconnectedness between higher education, internationalization, and society. And I actually thought I went back to the 1997 white paper number 3 to remind myself what we said then and what were the goals for higher education back then, and to see whether it's still appropriate now and how we're doing it. And then I looked at the whole integration or socially embedded university and how you integrate that into the learning and teaching, as well as even from internationalization perspective. And the one point you made about employability, it is up there that it's one of our responsibilities to assist students to become part of for their own development and careers and so on, but also from a development perspective of the economy. And I think you might want to just reiterate there are 4 goals, and I think they're still very relevant today in white paper number 3. Okay? Yes, it's all those things are very important, and I think we forget about it because we think we now in 2018 and why would that? But I found it so relevant to read that again. Why are we here now? And when you put a transformation frame on it, that's actually where you would draw your transformational context from. Because that is also our duty to be part of the growing of our society and the public good that needs to come out, because that's the fourth one. How important is that there should be a public good. I think I'm going to bring this to a close. This is very exciting. We've got, I think you've got good support, but I want to say thank you so much, Vanessa and Sue. You know, I'm a terrible driver, and in fact, I must tell you this, because I saw Vanessa's face in the beginning of the year. I said to her, we've now done enough research. You've done a lot of research. Please, now I need something that we can work with. And that's just the way I work, that I like to challenge and stretch people, and then somewhere within that stretching there's growth for them as well. And I hope you have experienced it in that fashion. Because when I was in the law faculty, they gave me an award for the nicest slave driver. So they tried to soften it, so I got an award for that, because they all felt they worked so much harder because I pushed them. But I'm glad I pushed you a bit, because I think it's shaping up to be something that will be transformational. Because if we can get this right, then we are going to be putting this institution on a different trajectory. So do take the long-term view as well as the short-term. I'm very excited about this.